Hello, it is good to be with you, and it's good to be able to bring you another devotional thought. Today, I'm thinking about building. I'm thinking about building because a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get into my backyard and start building a fort for my daughter, Toby. Now, this isn't something that I just did overnight. This is something that I've been planning for a while, and I've been collecting things as I've been going along. Now, to be honest with you, some of the places I was collecting them was on trash day as I'm driving through my neighborhood. Someone might be discarding a slide. I jumped out and I got the slide, threw it in the back of the truck. I found a rock wall that was being discarded and I picked it up, threw it in the back of the truck. I was actually going to make the platform out of some pallets. And I had collected some of those actually from a burn pile. I asked the owner if I could have them. He agreed to let me have them. And so this fort went up in the backyard out of a lot of things that were being discarded. Now, I'm also thinking about building today because I had actually put a fairly flat tarp roof on the fort, and all the rain last week actually collected probably 15 to 20 gallons of water. And I had to push up, it's like a giant water balloon, and I was trying to figure out how to get the water off the tarp to keep it from tearing. And so I was actually building it with a little bit steeper pitch. So hopefully the water will run off next time. So some things worked really well, some things didn't, but all in all, it was neat to see something go up in the backyard, in many cases out of things that had been discarded or people had thrown away. Now, what's the spiritual application here? The spiritual application is pretty simple. I think sometimes we view ourselves much more like those items on the side of the road that had been discarded, that some people considered worthless, at least in their lives, than what God can do in our lives when we allow Him to create something new. I love this verse, and I found this in Isaiah chapter 43, verses 17 through 19. Listen to this. I called forth the mighty army of Egypt with all its chariots and horses. I drew them beneath the waves, and they drowned, their lives snuffed out like a smoldering candle wick. But forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I am about to do. For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland. This verse reminds me that God can do anything that He wants. He actually, in one of the darkest times in Israel's history, said, look back to one of your best times when you escaped Egyptian bondage, when the waters were parted in the Red Sea. You went across, and then the Egyptian army was completely wiped out when they tried to follow you. Do you remember that? Well, you haven't seen anything yet compared to what I'm about to do. This verse is a great reminder of what God can do in our lives when we allow Him. It's also an even more important reminder that we do not need to limit God on what He can do anywhere. We don't need to limit God to what He can do in the situation that we're in the world, that's in the world right now. And we don't need to limit God's power and powerful work in our lives. When we think that way, when we think in anticipation of the mighty things, the amazing things that God will do in our lives, it completely changes our attitude. If you need a little help with that, I need you to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verses 17 through 19. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. All of this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to Himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ, God was reconciling the world to Himself, not counting the trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. As I read that verse, I realize that God has already done powerful things in our lives. He did the most powerful thing by giving us His Son to reconcile us to Him through Jesus' blood, so that we can one day look forward to not living here in these bodies that are wasting away, but living in heaven with Him eternally. That is such a great, amazing thing. But we don't need to stop there. We actually need to be looking and, like I said, anticipating the things that God can do in our life when we allow Him to take control. And that's what I want to focus on. The first step is understanding what God has done. And the next step is understanding what God can do in your life if you will let Him. I love this verse. Again, it's from Isaiah. This time it's from chapter 41, verse 15. And we see here, God is saying, "Behold, I have made you to be a new, sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff." God says, I am creating something new in you. Just wait and see what you can do when I'm at work in your life. And that's what I want us to do now. And that's what I would like us to do through the rest of the week is look for the ways that God is present in your life and look for the opportunities that He has provided for us to do actually amazing things when we allow Him to do His work. And we actually expect Him because we know that God is so powerful that He can do anything. Thank you.